Donald Trump kicked off Memorial Day, not by honoring fallen heroes or expressing gratitude to their families, but by rage posting on Truth Social. Instead of solemn remembrance, he launched into a 241-word tirade, attacking Democrats as scum, calling President Joe Biden a decrepit corpse, and demanding the arrest of his political enemies. Because nothing says "we honor the troops" like an all-caps meltdown served with a side of authoritarianism. Early Monday morning, rather than reflect on those who paid the ultimate price in service to the nation, Trump logged on and unleashed a chaotic word salad that read like it was ghost-written by a malfunctioning leaf blower. Here's how he opened: Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum who spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country. And it only spiraled from there. He blamed radical left minds for supposedly letting 21 million people illegally enter the country, accused judges of protecting criminals, and claimed America was being overrun by murderers, rapists, and the mentally insane. All that in one breathless, unpunctuated mess, and not a single word honoring fallen soldiers. Now compare that to a real Memorial Day message. President Barack Obama once wrote, "On Memorial Day, we remember the sacrifices that our men and women in uniform and their families have made to preserve our freedom. May we always strive to honor the strength and resolve they've shown our country." One message offers dignity and gratitude. The other sounds like it was dictated through a bullhorn while doing donuts in a golf cart. And here's the kicker: after facing blowback, Trump deleted the rant. But of course, in classic Trump fashion, he reposted a slightly tweaked version later. This time he ended with, "Hopefully the United States Supreme Court and other good and compassionate judges throughout the land will save us from the decisions of the monsters who want our country to go to hell." Again, not exactly "God bless our fallen heroes," is it? And let's talk about Trump's official speech at Arlington Cemetery. Watching him fumble through that address was like decoding a broken fax machine. But this is the man who insists he's a very stable genius. Since returning to office, Trump has caused significant chaos, illegally firing thousands of federal workers, shuttering entire government agencies, deporting asylum seekers without due process, and igniting economic instability through his impulsive tariff decisions. He hasn't ended a single war he swore would be over on day one, but sure, let's pretend this is progress. Then, as if all that weren't unhinged enough, Trump reposted a conspiracy-laced rant from MAGA influencer Rogan O'Handley, better known as DC Drano. Yes, that name sounds more like a dollar store Marvel villain than a political commentator. They stole the 2020 election using a decrepit corpse as a frontman. They used an auto pen to start wars, rob the treasury, and pardon their friends. Wait, are we being ruled by a haunted pen now? Shout out to the MAGA diehards who still think National Treasure was a documentary. So this Memorial Day, while America paused to remember its fallen, Trump took to the internet to rage against the living, insult the judiciary, hallucinate invasions, and repost fan fiction. Because for him, every day is about Trump, and Memorial Day is no exception. Happy Memorial Day indeed. Oh, what a loser. Let's break it down for anyone who doesn't live in a bunker of delusion. An autopen is a mechanical device used to replicate a person's signature. Presidents have used it for decades, standard procedure for proclamations, letters, and ceremonial bills. This dates all the way back to Harry Truman in the 1940s. George W. Bush used it. Obama used it. And yes, brace yourself, Donald Trump used it too. In fact, here's Trump himself in a past interview admitting, "Yeah, I've used the autopen only for very unimportant papers. I don't call them unimportant, but, letters when people write in." Translation: I use the autopen, but only when I feel like it, which is often. But now he's treating the autopen like it's a rogue AI that's running the country. According to Trump's fever dream, Biden's not actually president. He's just a corpse being propped up by an evil pen possessed by George Soros and running the government via remote control. He ranted, "They used the autopen." He didn't approve this stuff. Who was operating the autopen? Seriously? It's a robot pen, not HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey. But wait, the weirdness doesn't stop there. Right after this mechanical meltdown, Trump had another senior moment caught on tape. where he nearly walked straight into a wall before Speaker Mike Johnson gently redirected Grandpa toward the hallway, like a nursing home orderly. Yet somehow, the press corps stays mostly silent. Anytime CNN's Jake Tapper and Axios's Alex Thompson want to stop hawking their book and report on the actual president having visible cognitive slips, that would be just swell. But no, instead, we get them plugging their upcoming tell-all, Original Sin on loop like it's a Taylor Swift album drop. It's called Original Sin. Coming out May 20th, you will not believe what we found out. Spoiler alert, we probably will. And in the middle of this chaos, we get a random sponsored ad about privacy software. Have you ever Googled your name and found all your personal data online? Try Incogni, use promo code GABES. Great. Trump's having a public breakdown, and our only defense is ad-sponsored digital bleach. And while all this circus played out over Memorial Day weekend, Trump somehow managed to make things worse again during a speech to graduating cadets at West Point. Did he honor their service? Their sacrifice? Nope. He rambled about trophy wives. He ended up getting a divorce, found a new wife. Could you say a trophy wife? I guess we could say a trophy wife. Sir, this is a military academy, not a segment of Real Housewives. MAGA edition, he continued. He sold his little boat, got a big yacht, one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. What is he talking about? We're at a graduation ceremony for military cadets, men and women dedicating their lives to serving the country. And Trump is narrating some yacht club soap opera. But hey, if there's one constant with Donald Trump, it's this: Memorial Day isn't about honoring the troops, it's about honoring himself. And if that means rambling about robot pens, trophy wives, haunted hallways, or imaginary yachts, so be it. And yet, the press still asks, is he up for another term? Let's be clear. He shouldn't be in charge of a lemonade stand, let alone a nuclear arsenal. Cadet Bone Spurs rants about Capone. While real leaders shake hands, seriously, instead of honoring graduating cadets, Donald Trump used his speech at West Point to talk about Al Capone. Al Capone was a monster, a very hardened criminal. I went through more investigations than Al Capone, and now I'm talking to you as president. Can you believe this? Yes, we can. Unfortunately, meanwhile, President Biden, who spoke at that same stage just last year, gave a measured speech and shook the hand of every single graduate. No drama, no auto pen, no Capone. Trump, he bailed early, claiming he had urgent matters to deal with. I'm going back now to deal with Russia and to deal with China. Here he is dealing with China, and here he is again. Such a warrior. You mean the same warrior who once skipped visiting a U.S. military cemetery in France because it was raining, and then called fallen service members suckers and losers? The same guy who said this about Senator John McCain, a man tortured in Vietnam for 5.5 years. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people who weren't captured, okay? Let that sink in. And speaking of Vietnam, Trump didn't serve. He dodged the draft 5 times. His excuse, bone spurs, diagnosed by a family doctor who just so happened to rent office space from Trump's father. I had a foot thing, and some deferments for college, like a lot of people. Except, according to records obtained by CNN, Trump had been out of school for 18 months before the draft lottery even began. Awkward. In 2019, Pete Buttigieg, a veteran who actually served in Afghanistan, didn't hold back. I think it's fairly obvious to most of us that Trump used his privilege to fake a disability. He exploited the system so someone else could go to war in his place. And then there's Senator Tammy Duckworth, a war hero who lost both her legs in Iraq, delivering the truth with fire. I will not be lectured by a 5-deferment draft dodger, and I have a message for Cadet Bone Spurs. If you cared about our military, you'd stop baiting Kim Jong-un into a war that could kill 85,000 U.S. troops and millions of civilians. That's the reality. Donald Trump is a draft-dodging, disgrace-spewing narcissist who pretends to honor the dead while actively undermining the institutions they died to protect. He mocks heroes, skips tributes, dodges service, and still expects applause for showing up late, rambling about mobsters and leaving early. He doesn't care about the troops. He only cares about the spotlight. Thanks for watching. If you want to support this work, the best way is by becoming a paid subscriber at What Was That? I'm fully independent, no corporate backing, no billionaire donors, just you, me, and the truth. By joining, you'll get full episodes, deep dive breakdowns, exclusive articles, and all the sarcasm you can handle. Prefer to listen on the go? What Was That is available on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, you name it. Until next time, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?